Did you just make a face at me?
Yes.
Oh, for what? Did you
It
stop
wasn't letting me record while it was rotated, but I think it's good.
Oh, is it recording now?
Yeah.
Okay, well, okay guys, I have the camera set up, so I don't know really if anybody's here or not, and I can't, like, see if you're commenting at the moment. So, actually, if you want me to pull cards for you personally after this, like, if you watch this video, just shoot me, like, a DM or whatever, and let me know, or comment, like, under the post and let me know. And I will gladly pull some cards for people tonight for like $5 or something. But I've been wanting to do this video for a long time for the retrograde, and just talking about feminine energy and like shadow work, our shadow selves, and the dark goddesses, and just how different aspects of femininity become demonized by society and then within ourselves. And I wanted to share this like whole moment with you guys. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. And the goddess that's been on my mind the most is Tiamat, who was and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she was the Babylonian goddess of creation. And she was like the ocean, the salty waters, and her consort, basically like the father of creation at that time, was Apsu, who was like the sweet waters and fresh waters. So they mixed their waters, and 3 different generations or so of gods came forth. And eventually she was overtaken by her grandson, I think, Marduk. And at that time, we also see, like, in civilization, we see kind of the dawn of our ancient era, and also the fall of the goddess, when we see the rise of the patriarchy really starting. I wanted to have wine tonight, so I have wine, I have all the good stuff, I'm happy. So Marduk takes over, and the sacred feminine is really being pushed to the wayside now. And what happens in the mythology of this is that Tiamat and her consort Apsu have, the first generation of things and the second generation of things. And then I think the third generation comes, and these are like the gods that are like making noise, doing all their stuff, whatever. They make so much noise that they're keeping Apsu awake and Tiamat awake, and it pisses them off, right? Makes them real mad. But Tiamat just like swallows it. She's like, whatever. They're my kids. I'm gonna let them do their thing. It's fine. Apsu does not feel the same way. He talks to like his main consultant dude, and he's like, let's kill him. Let's get rid of him. Let's eliminate him. I can't listen to this. I can't sleep. My wife can't sleep. We're done. When Tiamat finds out about this, she's super enraged. And the kids find out about it, and they're super enraged. And before she can do anything, and I'm probably butchering this a little bit, but that's okay. Before she can do anything, her Apsu is killed. He's slain. She's enraged. Reasonably so. Super duper enraged. So she and her new husband, whose name I'm forgetting, forgive me, plot to kill these kids, basically. They're not kids, I'm sorry. but these younger gods. And Marduk has the 4 winds, and he's the son of one of Tiamat's sons, but I can't remember that middle guy's name right now. But Marduk has the 4 winds, and so they battle, and Tiamat's doing her thing, and she goes to, like, she opens her mouth, and I think she was going to send, like, a storm or a great wind at Marduk. And using the 4 winds, he, like, shot some into her mouth and sliced her up in like 4 different ways. And so basically we see Tiamat go from the loving protective mother to a raging sea monster to being killed and her place being taken over. And in a final act of, not that she did this herself, but in a final act almost of motherhood and creation, her body was used to create the realms or the domes of the heaven and the earth. And so at this time, right now, not only when we're in Mercury retrograde, and it's a Cancer retrograde at that, when we're in the midst of all of these emotions being pulled up, things we haven't addressed, we're seeing that it's happening, of course, on a global scale. And I've talked about this in all my videos. If you've gotten a reading from me, you know I always make sure to tie in what's happening out there, because what's happening out there is also happening internally, right? Sorry, you guys know I always get like a little nervous, can't breathe when I talk. But anyway, so at this time, we're seeing our old structure be dismantled. And we're seeing it be dismantled, or at least having these very solid cracks in the foundation exposed. And it's just bringing up that people want something, a system that's led differently, that's not led with the focus of maintaining an image and maintaining a sense of stability or security, especially not, and absolutely not, at the cost of lives, of livelihood, of happiness, of joy. Not when what we're paying we're paying in trauma, and we're paying in loss, and we're not really getting that stability back. And so people are turning to one another. There's a very natural occurrence of unity developing, and that brings up those, feminine energy, feminine aspect feelings. But at the same time, what we also have coming up are things like rage and desire. And on individual scales, I've seen a lot of people be opening up, like just in the handful of clients that I kind of regularly talk to, and the people that I've been reaching out to and connecting with lately, and especially women. So if any guys are watching this, take this as it applies to you. I would love to work with you more and get to know more of that perspective also. But anyway, what I'm seeing in a lot of the women that I talk to is that there's so many repressed things being brought up, not just like the normal shadow work stuff that I was encountering, like trauma, like childhood trauma, sexual trauma, physical stuff, bad relationships, but just how women express anger, just how we are raised to see one another and to see ourselves in relation to one another, in relation to our idealized selves, our place in relation to men. We know it's not our job to take care of men, even if that's something we've seen kind of taught to us. It's not our job to raise them. It's not our job to fix them. But at the same time, we're raised to be nurturing. We're taught that women are the caretakers, and so that if there's something to be done, we'll do it. And so we see people and we want to fix them. And sometimes, even though we know it's not our job to fix them, the feedback loop that comes to us is that I should have somewhere been more of this. Or we see a woman who is doing all of something. She has her career. She owns her sexuality. She's loving her life. She's got like all her friends, whatever. She's doing her shit. She's like got 2 master's degrees. And she's a wonderful person. There's really nothing to hate on her for. But we're seeing her be a whole woman. And there's a part of us on the inside that says, why can't I be like that? And that competitiveness that we're raised with, that a lot of us are challenging, like, very regularly. And there's so much unity happening just with women, and I love it. But we get that feedback loop of, oh, she thinks she's all that. Oh, like, who does she think she is? Like, we always nitpick with some shit. And there's really no reason for it. What we need is a space to say, I want to have that in my life. I want to feel like I can own my sexuality all the time and feel like I have worth that transcends all of these constructs that society made. Which you do. You intrinsically, inherently have that worth. Joy is your divine right. Pleasure is your divine right. Anger is your divine right. It's the way that you use these things. It's the way that you respond to these things that makes you an aware person, a whole person, a mature person. It's the awareness that you approach these feelings with that makes you somebody who is actually working to elevate where they are. And sorry, I'm kind of rambling a little bit here, but like I said, this has been on my mind a long time, and just that whole transformation of Tiamat from being that revered mother to being somebody who's enraged and trying to defend themselves and protect themselves in their home and like avenge their love or what have you, but who did not want to turn against their children, who was then like killed by the next generation coming in. It's just been heavy on my mind lately. But anyway, what I wanted to do today was kind of talk about those themes and then also share a little ritual with you guys, which I have not really done ever, I think, live at all. But I made these little candle setup things today, and they have like moss and shells. My mom lives in Washington, and she actually shipped me some shells and sand dollars and stuff, so those are in there, as well as pieces of copper, which relate to Venus. They relate to beauty and water in the ocean, so I always like to have that on hand. I have a little copper band right here too. I love to add some of that. We've got, of course, our selenite and rose quartz. Always have those on the table. They just make it all nice and happy. And then I have some patchouli incense burning, and I have my singing bowl. So I like to keep it pretty simple with my altar setups. The point of this is to just kind of gently invoke Tiamat, to invite her into this space. If you're watching, you can absolutely participate along with me. If you watch this later, because I'm going to save it, please feel free to participate along with the video if you like. And then after that, I'm going to pull cards after her energy has been invited here, and just kind of get her take on what's going on and talking about it. Oh, there we go, full circle. Talking about it in the midst of this retrograde. Because again, Cancer season retrograde. It's just strong. Neptune is also retrograding right now. Again, we are what's happening out there. The world is always a mirror. What you are seeing is always a mirror. The people that you're interacting with are always a mirror. Unfortunately, there's a lot of triggering shit happening out there right now. And it makes it easy to become overwhelmed or bogged down or just snarky and irritable. And I can say ground and cleanse all day, but the truth of the matter is I forget that at times because I'm still building my routine with this, and I know it's not easy for people to do all the time, especially when you're feeling like you're already treading water or like you're really walking against the wind, okay? Because there's just a lot going on, so we're all going through it. So yeah, it's okay. There's a lot happening. We're going to get some guidance on it. We're going to do a little ritual on it and just soak up all of this like super strong, protective, primordial mother energy, this water, ocean energy, like deep from the depths of the ocean. We're talking about like owning our sexuality, owning our feelings, owning our boundaries, and then, you know, awarely responding with awareness. Okay. This stuff is so good. Some random wine from like the gas station on my drive home that I pass sometimes. It's like one of those super big party store gas stations. But the wine is called Vipera, and it's in a black bottle, and it's a sweet red, and it's super good. Ooh. I like it. We have a super positive jumper, Akasha. So I don't know why I'm zooming in. I don't know if you can see that from there. But your guidance is divinely guided. It's really weird doing this live because I don't know who I'm talking to, but hopefully you guys drop some notes for me to come back to, because again, I would love to pull some cards for you. I'm just shuffling the cards up to kind of clear the energy off. I did a class earlier today, which I loved. It was fabulous. I don't get to do that often. A tarot class. We have enough. This is so good. Oh my god. The 9 of Pentacles. So that's like your super, super abundance card right there. That's strong manifestation energy. I'm using the Work Your Light Oracle, the Witch's Tarot, which is a super killer deck. Pardon me, I have like 22-ish decks of tarot and oracle cards all together, and I just love to use different ones. Oh, okay. Oh my goodness, I love it. This is crazy. So this is the Mother Piece deck. We have a jumper, and just the bottom card was a note. The jumper is the Devil, but the bottom card is the Star. You can make use of your Devil. You can absolutely always make use of your Devil. It's something that you gotta have in hand, okay? Because it's those pieces of yourself that are usually the worst. And I mean that with so much love, and I'm kind of thinking of myself when I say it, but your Devil is sometimes your worst. But they can also be your best friend. If you can put your ambition to use, if you can put your desires to use, if you know how to have fun in place, if you know how to utilize emotional transmutation, if you can conjure the feeling of ecstasy and apply that as the feeling of an end result of a manifestation spell, you've just brought in some good abundance. So, just a side note, you can always use that Devil to help power that Star, that wish fulfillment. We're going to put that to the side though for now. So yeah, those other decks, the Mother Piece deck, we have those. I just want to cleanse the space a little bit. This top, you guys, is a headband also. I just have to share that. It's like one of those crazy extra stretchy from the beauty supply store. Like, my coworker got them for me at my old job. I love her. I miss her. These things are amazing. I've been using them as tops, headbands, face masks. Just go to the beauty supply store. Save your own life. Buy everything from there and not Sally Beauty Supply, but ideally you already need that. Okay. So if you want to follow along with this part at home, you can go ahead and do that. I'm going to take some deep breaths in through my nose and out through my mouth. Just kind of a cleansing breath. So when you breathe, let that energy come all the way in. Let the breath reach down to your lower belly, and then let it out. And just focus on the energy in the space that you're in, being clear, being just fresh, kind of conducive to feeling cleansed. Because that's the goal here, is to create a cleansing, welcome, calm space, right? So we're just going to do a couple deep breaths in. Okay. There we go. It just always feels better after you do that. And then I like to have my singing bowl, which I've been using more in videos. And this one's metal, obviously. Metal singing bowls are used more for like clearing energy from a space, whereas a crystal singing bowl or a glass singing bowl, do they have glass ones? I think so. I don't know. But those would be used for like aligning with a particular frequency or energy so that you can amplify it. So rose quartz for some kind of like heart chakra love thing, or for a root chakra kind of thing like that. But this one is tuned to the pitch of A, and this is for like the heart chakra. And so in that case, we're also clearing any old energy from our heart space. And so if you want to just focus on that while I do this part, you can do that. You can just take a few deep breaths in and out. You could visualize pink or green light that would correspond to your heart chakra or that energy center. And just for a minute, just while we're here for this minute, imagine that this space is open, because where you are right now is protected. This space is sacred where you are right now, and it's safe to let your heart be open for a moment so that we can do this, this reading together. And when it's all done, if you have walls and stuff, by all means, put them back together. I'm not going to fight you on it. We could talk about it later. You want to book a reading, we'll take them down for good. But, how you're protecting yourself right now, that's for something for you to start untangling on your own. In this moment, though, you're safe, you're secure, this is a good space. So. So at this time, we are going to just invite Spirit and do the opening prayer. And then I am going to start inviting and invoking Tiamat. And at this point, I'm going to do something I've not done on camera before. Have only done kind of for myself and for a couple clients. But I am just going to invite her energy into me and see if we can do some channeling, or at the very least just have her energy here for guidance. Ooh, that candle just bubbled like a bitch, bro. I love it. Sorry for the language, but not sorry for the language, because that's just how I talk. Ooh, okay. Holy Creator, we come to you today, whether or not we're all here right now or people are watching later on, having set this space as being sacred and safe, as being designated for the work of revealing our shadows and looking upon them with love, so that we might utilize them and transmute them into light. Holy Creator, we invite the purifying energy of fire, the breath of life, which is air, the earth beneath our feet that nourishes us, and the water that flows all around us, that flows as blood in our veins. Holy Creator, I, Genesis, now set this space and the space of all those who are participating at any given time that they are participating as my own sacred temple space, that all those within might be set within the concentric circles of safety, that their space is cleansed, and that they are able to work on themselves as they see fit in this space. Should they ever wish to return here, may they simply will it so. Amen. Okay. Okay. So, the point of that was to help create an energetic setting for what we're doing. And what I do for myself is to visualize concentric black circles, one surrounding my energetic body, one surrounding my physical body itself, or, kind of an inner core, and then an outer, and finally one around my space. So when I did that, I also visualized it for you. I don't know if anybody else does that. That's just a visualization that I've been doing for a little while now, and I really like it. You might like to add alternating black and white concentric circles. You might add any color that you feel fitting. It'll work just fine to do so. At this time now, we are going to invite the goddess Tiamat, and I don't have any preset thing. I don't usually use pre-scripted elements at all. It doesn't work for me. Which, I mean, you can do readings ahead of time, but this felt like something to do for this. And I'm actually really enjoying it, whether or not it ends up being like a super well received video or not. But I really hope you all like it. Okay. And normally I don't think I would say this, but what I'm feeling right now is if you would like to also invite Tiamat to your space, envision a droplet of aquamarine water above your crown chakra, and let that water droplet wash over that crown chakra and feel it flowing down. You can invite Tiamat in for that. Goddess Tiamat, primordial mother of creation, depths of the ocean that we cannot ever know, but who makes herself knowable to us through the rivers, the streams, through everything that she touches, that she is evaporated from the ocean and into the sweet waters, through waterfalls, through rain. Mother Tiamat, protectress of her lover and of her children, mother who is whole and also a full woman, please help us to show us, bring us your advice for loving and accepting ourselves through this opening of our shadows being exposed, of the goddess rising, of wounds being revealed, of the toxic masculine falling. Goddess Tiamat, I invoke thee into me. Goddess Tiamat, I invite you into my consciousness, into my heart and mind, into my hands, that I might speak clearly your words of guidance and work clearly with the cards pulled. I ask Goddess Tiamat that you bring your waters down upon me, wash me clean, and wash anyone watching. Let them be cleansed, let them be soothed, and let them be healed at this time. Goddess, I invite you to speak through me today. Amen. Okay. I don't even know which cards to start with yet. I don't even want to start with cards yet. One of the first things I feel like is just to talk. All of you need to drink more water. Everybody needs to drink more water for this whole time coming up. You need to be thoroughly washing, like internally. You need to be cleansing yourselves. She means cycling through, like not it, but it literally means to wash. Water is just like blood, so you need to remember that and let it flow. I literally just see a diagram of a body with water, like moving through it. So as much as possible, please be doing that. Something she's been having me tell my clients is to be very mindful when you're washing your hands. You really need to understand that water is something that is constantly moving through everything. It is always present. You are never not with it. So therefore, you are always with the blood of life. You are washing your hands every day with the blood of life. You can consecrate that water by speaking over it. If you have a chosen entity, if you have a chosen deity, you may do so, but I would advise that you invite a mother goddess, that you invite an older goddess, that you invite something that was there for the tectonic plates moving and the world turning, and invite that in to wash yourself clean with. When you do this, she doesn't have a need for a sink, so it's really hard to explain this part. She's talking about when you do this at a sink, when you do it moment by moment, day by day, during the day, you are instilling in your mind or reopening in your mind old habits, ones that we've forgotten. Sacredness is to be woven throughout. There's something about having a space that you maintain. It does not have to be a whole room. It doesn't have to even be a box or material. It can just be an astral space. It can be a prayer. It can be something that is only yours, something that you make, that you write, that you maintain. Space doesn't have to be tangible, right? Because what is happening and what's coming feels like the crumbling of self. It feels like the tower being washed away by a tsunami. And you will need to have a space to hold yourself in. And this is not, I got a picture of Noah's Ark. This is not a wall. This is not a defense mechanism. You can be laid bare still, holding space still, supporting still. But there will be a space that you can retreat to. And that space is just for you. For me, it's my favorite book. She says for her, this is very weird. I don't think I've ever done quite this type of channeling. We're both in here. At least, especially not in front of people. So for her, for me, it's a book. It does not do to be wrapped up in nostalgia. But a connection with the divine, by essence, must be moving. It has to be growing. So that is a safe space. A prayer that you've known your whole life might have nostalgia attached to it in a good way. You can still use that prayer and still be evolving in that space. And still be feeling safe in that space. So there must be something for you to hold on to that is both safe and evolving. And that's the nature of this, right? That's the essence of this. That's why the sacred masculine, the toxic masculine in this case, is falling. And the sacred masculine will rise coming from that. the nature of life is change, and the nature of feminine is change. Water nourishes and erodes and floods and births, and it does it all at the same time all over the world, and it does it all moment by moment. You are existing all at the same time doing this, and it's happening moment by moment. And within you, a whole existence is doing this, and not all at the same time. If you have relationship trauma, it might be on the back burner for a minute while you're dealing with racial trauma. And if you're not, for whatever reason, somehow right now dealing with racial trauma in some way, and you're dating somebody and you've been quarantined, then your relationship stuff is going to come up. And maybe you just live alone and you're healthy and you're doing everything you can, but what you're seeing around you is bringing stuff up. That is the ebb and flow. That is the flux. That is the interconnectedness. The stifled rage that so many are feeling is not a singularity. You are all breathing together. It's all happening together. So, in the midst of this, and I like to call it feels weird. I feel like I'm having to pull myself out of this to say things to you guys. She wants to say Genesis calls it a pressure cooker. Genesis calls it a pressure cooker. When you're in this pressure cooker of the retrograde and of everything happening around you and whatever turmoil you're having internally, even if it's just, I'm in my 50s and shit's changing in a weird way that I did not anticipate. I'm in my 80s or 70s and shit's changing in a weird way I didn't anticipate. I can't get on board with it somewhere. My shit's being challenged. I'm in my 20s and I just thought I would, maybe be starting a family or getting married or something right now. Or I'm in my 30s and I can't believe I'm burying friends from a pandemic. Wherever you are with this, your life and the way that you look at your life and your sense of self is being challenged. And your sense of self being challenged is enough on its own. That's often a lot. We are with you. You are not alone. There are so many faces of God. You could each choose anyone that you wanted. Whichever one works best for you. Somebody made up, pour enough energy into it, make them a god. Somebody well known, no god, maybe just some angels. None of those things at all. Maybe the mycelial network and moss. Maybe none of that at all. Maybe just existing. Whatever it is, develop a connection with that thing. Because everything is out there. Everything is living. You are a part of a much larger network than you understand, than you realize yet. Yet being key, because that is also shifting. But now I'm going to let her do cards. Okay. I hope you guys are still with me. I don't even know which ones to start with. Let's look at the Witch's Tarot first. Nope. Sorry, we always start with Oracle, then Tarot. But then the Witch's Tarot is going to be first out of that. Girl, my forehead is tingling, my shoulders are tingling. There's like on my life. I do channel. I have done this regularly. I do channel, like, not regularly, but I do channel, like, rituals. But when she was in my head talking about this and said, tonight is the night I'm doing this, and it was like, no matter whether or not I had people watching, no matter what's going on, like, I went to the store, I got my shit for this, like, but that just came through. And she does come through, like, pardon me, she's like, I can't even describe, because she's moving, like, she looks like moving, like, I don't know, like, definitely darker than I am, like, but, like, kind of, like, cinnamon color almost, like, dark cinnamon, or, like, cinnamon toasted in a pan, you know, and, like, thick, dark, wavy hair, and, like, she's flowing in the water, and, like, gold, amber color eyes, and, like, shells, and, like, blue glass beads, but that feels like pleasantries. She's very deep. That was a very neat experience, and I am very grateful for it. Thank you so much, Goddess Tiamat. I appreciate you being with me. I appreciate you speaking through me, and I ask that if you are willing to please stay with us through this guidance portion. So this is the part where, of course, you guys, I am going to pull some cards. We are in Mercury retrograde until July 12th. I don't know for sure how long we're in Neptune retrograding, but yeah, so today is the 24th, I think, or 25th of June, so, fuck, I don't know, 5 days, like, 17-ish days, something like that, a couple weeks, we have a couple weeks left. I'm gonna pull 3 cards, so, like, 3 from each deck, so that we get the next 7 days, 7 days after that, 7 days after that. So, roughly the next 3 weeks, here's what's coming up, and here are kind of how to dig into it. Here's your guidance for it. This brings us to the end of the retrograde, and for the beginning of, or like the main portion of the shadow of the retrograde, because Mercury always has its shadow before we're going direct. I love Mercury retrograde, and I'm so glad I just said that, because one of the things I wanted to talk about in this video, I'm sorry it's long, it's gonna be a little long, was that Mercury retrograde is really awesome. We are honoring ourselves at this time, bro. It's a good time to slow down. There's nothing fucking wrong with slowing down, especially when everything is so crazy. I know that the normal advice that comes out is like, don't make any business transactions, don't get into any arguments, which are super great. But part of that is because most of y'all don't communicate anyway. And I mean that with love. People do not communicate from a place of being open, and there are reasons for that. There are very valid reasons for that. You've been hurt, you're mistrustful, you haven't seen open communication, so there's no fault in what I'm not blaming anybody for anything, but it's very easy to fall into the Mercury retrograde trap, when the truth is that people aren't putting that foundational time into their communication anyway. So, that being said, always trust yourself, always trust your intuition. I know I do things backwards. I read magazines backwards, I write backwards sometimes, I read cards from the bottom of the deck. I love doing magic on dark moons, eclipses, and Mercury retrograde. I love it. But my gift is really shadow work, and it's death and rebirth, and so that's why that works for me. You have to know you, and you have to know what works for you, and that's part of the beauty of Mercury retrograde. That's part of the beauty of a retrograde that occurs multiple times a year. You are being asked to slow down and take stock of yourself. You're being asked to slow down and look at yourself and look at how your perspectives might be shifting and how you might need to address some things. And each retrograde is occurring in a different sign at a different season, so you get the influence of those things as well. And right now we're getting like Mercury and Cancer influence, which I don't know, maybe it's changed. I don't have my little book out. Oh my god, my cat's right there. I didn't realize Simba stayed in here. I don't know if you guys can see him or not, but he's cute and annoying. He's been outside all day. I love him so much. But anyway, I don't have my little astrology planner thing out here. So, but I think Mercury is in Cancer like for the duration of this retrograde, and Cancer is that nurturing mother's sign, and that's part of where this whole Tiamat thing came from, or she brought it to me. I really could not tell you at this point. Is that it's in that nurturing mother's sign, and a card that I've had come up for people a lot from this deck right here is the How Can You Mother Yourself card. So when we're looking at these feelings coming up in ourselves, and we're looking at sadness, rage, despair, we're looking at new elements of sympathy and empathy. Like, there's a lot going on right now. I know for some of my white friends, they're being exposed to some shit a little more than they had been before, and they're fucking going through it. And for my black friends and for myself, like, there's a just, I can't even put it into words, because, at least not right now, not in this video, but there's so much happening right now. And so to have those traumas, those identity traumas coming up when we're also fighting for the humanity of everyone. We've got Latino or Latin and Hispanic people being fucking in cages, being gassed, being separated. Native peoples are still being, I don't even have words for that one, because disrespected is a fucking understatement. Brutalized. There's so much happening in the world, and at awakening times, there's also like sexual awakenings happening and traumas being opened up. So anyway, before I just go on a tangent again, how can you mother yourself? How can you love on yourself? And the card the depiction in that card is Mary. It's Mother Mary, and that is, you want to be mothering yourself from the vantage point of the unconditional loving primordial mother, of the one who sees all. And in doing so, you allow yourself to also see women as a whole, and to see yourself as a whole. And I'm not saying that on an individual conscious scale we don't, but internally we've been programmed deeply to see women as mother or maiden, beauty or duty, this or this, but not often all of them. And that's where, when I was talking about earlier, we see a whole woman doing this, and this, and knowing she's all that in a bag of chips, and hating on it in some capacity because there's some element of jealousy on the inside. We have not mothered ourselves. We have not looked at our shadow and loved on it and said, girl, you know what? You have a right to be angry. How can we use this for something? You have a right to desire. You have a right to want to feel sexy and not feel in danger because of that, or not feel like you have to be on extra guard because of that somewhere, or if something happens, like, you're going to be shamed for it. So, yeah, anyway, hopefully that's resonating somewhere. Let's get into the cards so that we're not here all night together. You know, that is what it is. I love this little setup. I'm so pleased. I wish you guys could see these from the side. I should have turned the candles around. I've got like nice shells and a sand dollar in there, and I'm just so happy. Okay. So, we're gonna get into these. My incense ran out. I'm so sad. Okay, so Goddess Tiamat, please be with us and guide us with your advice for the upcoming 3 weeks, for the end of the retrograde, or, you know, the rest of the retrograde and its shadow. I know I said I read from the bottom of the deck, and I'm not right now. I read from the bottom of the deck a lot, but I also listen to whatever energy is flowing, and like, this time I'm supposed to be doing that. I knew that shit was gonna come up. I was waiting on that card to come up. I'm also just trying to like be way more myself in these videos, like the way I do stuff with clients, instead of just second guessing it, because I don't know, I love it. I know what I do is legit. I know I love what I do, and regardless of how that turns out, I want to share it. So hopefully, like, you guys resonate with it. Hopefully you fuck with it. So, anyway, sorry. I digress. first 3 weeks, the main themes, and just that bottom underlying support card is what those are going to be right now. And I am going to pull a couple cards from the other two decks to give us their little, like, clarification or additional information things, because y'all know I love to do that. And then we'll super quickly fasty do the other cards and do a closing prayer and blessing, and then that'll be it, because I love you guys. And then you can go do whatever, go to bed, good night. I'm gonna, I don't know yet, do something. Okay. Yep. Damn. Oh, okay, nope, that makes sense. Damn. Oh my god. These cards could not be better, but y'all, we gotta dig into it. These cards could not be better at all. I need like 3 cameras so that you can see this layout. I will take pictures, or I'll show it at the end in a second. I'll grab my phone. Okay. Oh, my back hurts. I'm gonna put the Mother Peace deck on standby, actually. So for the first week, or like the first week from right now, this next 7 days, we have Mirror, and it says who or what is triggering you. And the card that it comes with is Strength. So sometimes we think of strength as, and not necessarily on an individual scale, of course, but we think of strength as physical strength, right? As just being able to withstand, like, just physical things, being able to lift, being able to pull, push, whatever. We think of that as being able to endure hardships, as being able to bounce back from things, but strength is also sometimes kind of brittle in those contexts. It doesn't have flow or flexibility, and you need flexibility for your strength to really be lasting and to really be resilient. So this upcoming week, focus on what's being triggered within you, whether it's on an overall scale, if you feel like you have the energy to make a whole list, or if it's just something at work or something that's been coming up, internally, and take a moment to sit with that and see where you might need to add a little flexible strength, a little resilience into your approach to this situation. It doesn't mean like, you have a shitty coworker and you just keep being nice, and you get this card and you're like, oh, well, maybe they're triggering me and it's my fault if I have to keep being nice. Girl, no, goodbye. Make sure that when you read cards and when you're checking for yourself and getting readings, you are not being overly critical of yourself. You're being realistic. You can set your boundaries with this coworker. That is the type of strength. You can set your personal boundaries and be like, bro, I'm going to need you to not disrespect me. I'm going to need you to not speak to me like that. In a nicer way than that. But you can do that. Because the issue is that your peace is being threatened and that you haven't addressed it for yourself. So whenever anybody else interrupts your peace, you get pissed because you've got this one triggering situation that you're not addressing. Or you're being a little assholey to people because you need to assert your power somewhere else. So we have things in ourselves that need to be addressed because they will come out in other ways. So that strength card is a reminder, in this case, to take a look at what's triggering you, sit back with it for a second, find a new perspective on it, and figure out where you can be a little more like water, right? Water is very powerful. Sometimes what it does slowly. It eroded the Grand Canyon. Sometimes it's a tsunami. Sometimes it's a hurricane. Sometimes it's rain after a drought. But it's always powerful. So, there is power and strength and flexibility. There is power and strength in flow. Okay? Endurance, resilience, being able to bounce back. That comes with understanding the flow of life and the flux and letting it happen and making sure you're standing up for yourself within that and loving yourself within that, acknowledging yourself within that. You will learn to work with the flow of life a lot better that way. We have Justice and Anna, grandmother of Jesus, which says seeding the light, laying foundations, and divine plan. So this second week out from now will be, I think, the last week of the retrograde, but, correct me if I'm wrong on that. And we have the Justice card coming up, which makes a lot of sense right now, because obviously justice is a huge theme this year. I know at the beginning of the year, all of the psychics, the readers, the people were talking about 2020 being an emperor year, being a 4 number, and some of the things that come with that are change in stability and change in our structures. I would say this is an emperor year, but it's the emperor reverse, because we're dismantling the toxic elements of that emperor. We're dismantling the things that no longer serve us. And what we get with that are all of these end pieces and debris and these things that we have to say, okay, what do we make of this? Like, how do we reconstruct this? That was like a weird way of saying it. But we're breaking apart the old stuff, and we're seeing all the skeletons in the closet. We're seeing the bones. How do we rectify these situations? So with justice coming up in your individual lives, again, perspective. This whole retrograde, this whole reading has been about having a flexible perspective on yourself and what's happening in your life. Because you have to remember, you are in the middle of fucking traumatic events. You are in the middle of a lot of flux stuff right now. So it's okay to need more sleep, to be eating more, to gain a little weight. It's okay to be slowing down at work, to be absent-minded or distracted or frustrated. And it's okay even if you're doing, meditating every morning and grounding and doing all of your stuff and you're still not feeling quite right. That's totally okay. It's perfectly fine. You are where you are right now. So make sure that what you're doing, you're looking at from a point of love with that in mind, instead of your idealized self and what you think you should be doing, so that you're not bringing undue stress for consequences that you haven't earned on yourself. 1. 2, on the larger scale, with people in your day-to-day life, remember that same thing, that they're going through stuff, and address them from a point of love, from a point of this new foundation laying. And I know that can be difficult, especially if the people in your life are being difficult, and sometimes that love is from a distance and not talking with them. But the people that you're talking with, still treat them with as much love and patience as you possibly can as everything is being dismantled. And then also with the Justice card, it's just signifying that this is a time of literal justice coming up, of our consequences being balanced. And if you've done good things, basically, good will come with it. I don't know, I don't like that. That's very oversimplified. What's happening is a reckoning of over 500 years of different elements of abuse and murder and trauma, and also repressed feelings. It is the return of the abuse on the abusers, but unfortunately everybody else has to also feel through the pain. So karma is not so much, in this sense, a right or a wrong. Somebody did good, so they get good back. This karma, this justice that we're in, that we're coming up on, is the karma, is the justice of all of the years previous. It's of all of these previous lifetimes. It's of all of these previous instances. It's from the regimes previous. So, I don't know another way to say it than, no, maybe you never killed anybody, or your parents never owned any slaves, but unfortunately, a while ago, some motherfuckers did. And we are all going to have to deal with the balancing of that. And the way that we handle the balancing of that, the way that we choose to respond to that, and we choose to hear one another, support one another, and change going forward, so that we have a system that benefits everyone, that we have a system that is conducive to the upward mobility, intellectually, spiritually, financially, and emotionally, for everyone is by owning up to having responsibility and accountability for humanity as a whole. That's our fucking job in this. We don't get to sit back and whine about it anymore. And don't get me wrong, I would love to. Every once in a while, it's great to have like 15 minutes of self-pity. But realistically, it's not about just the individual. And that's the other thing that's coming up here, is that the individual is great. Here's what's supposed to be individual. The shit that you like food, your religious and spiritual experiences should be really personal and maybe shared with people, like in your region, in your belief system, but there's no right or wrong. It shouldn't be that person's is correct and this person's isn't. That's where individuality should be, in your talents and your gifts and your expressions. But when it comes to shit like taking care of one another, making sure everybody has food, making sure we can all be voting, making sure we can have transportation to jobs if we want jobs, or creating a society where jobs are not required but optional, where people have availability of higher education, that shit is a group responsibility. That is not on one person. There is not supposed to be one leader. There's supposed to be everyone is a leader. There is always a space to lead. There is always a space to help enact justice. There is always a space to be a part of that karma balancing out. That is how you seed the foundation. That is how you lay the fucking cornerstone brick. It's not by being passive. It's by being aware. It's by intelligently responding. And it's by being accountable. I am my brother's keeper, my mother's keeper, my sister's keeper, but I am first and foremost my keeper. I must be accountable to myself for my successes, for my joys, for my responses to my trauma. So that I can seed a foundation, lay a foundation, seed the lay, whatever. So I can put that foundation down for myself to be better, for my behaviors to be better, so that people around me can see me doing better. There's a phrase that I used to see posted up at my school all the time when I was still going to Madonna, which I would maybe one day like to get back to, maybe not, who cares. But because I really like taking classes, but I don't really care about getting a degree. I just wanted to see if I could do it, and I could. It was awesome. But it was, I think, oh God, which guy was it? St. Francis, I think, that was saying, like, it was basically, like, some people, you know what I mean, like, they may never read the gospel or something. Like, if you're speaking, if you're giving a sermon, or if you're, like, if you're working, if you're out there doing charity, that might be the only gospel they see that day. That's a very Christian example, but it's the motherfucking truth. That might be the gospel they see that day. Me doing my thing, whatever it is, that might be the testimony that somebody sees that day. So I take a chance all the time to be an open person, to be a loving person, to be an educating person, and to be a student at the same time. Because when people see me, when they get to know me, what I usually end up hearing back is, I wouldn't have thought you went through all that, or I wouldn't have known that, or wow, how did you learn that? And I don't say that to toot my own horn. I say that to say anybody can come up from the bottom and do better. You have to be justice for yourself, be a leader for yourself, be accountable to yourself, and then do so in your community. And that's the bottom line on that. We have a couple cards left, and then we're going to do our little closing prayer and get on out of here, because I don't even know how long it's been, probably an hour or so. So I really appreciate you for sticking with me if you have. The last card is birthing a new age, and that's the end of the retrograde, getting into the shadow of the retrograde. It says birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. There is not a coincidence that followed that foundation card. The ones that came up with it are the Seven of Swords and the Four of Wands. That one got those two for a reason, because I had initially put them away. So we have that birthing a new age. We have that literally dreaming a new world into being. So when I was talking about those foundations and being accountable to yourself, what you're creating also is a set of foundations, a set of morals within yourself that help reprogram you to expect more and to demand more for yourself and for those in your community. More from life overall. When you start realizing that you are co-creating with spirit, that you are a part of this whole thing, like, there's so much wonder that comes with the accountability. Like, oh, yes, it is up to me. But also, it's all up to me. I can do whatever I want. When I was a little kid, I really just wanted to be a medium. And, like, I do mediumship, but I don't really practice it enough, but I wanted to be a medium. I wanted to talk to dead people. I wanted to read cards. Because I wanted to be a witch, and that was it. And I didn't know that you could really make a career out of that, which I guess people do. I didn't know what. I just wanted to be and do this. And lo and behold, it's taken a minute, and a lot of weird shit's gone down in the middle. But because that's been my passion or my purpose, it has found a way to navigate me. When I was at rock bottom, that's what pulled me up. So when you have a passion, when you have a purpose, you can create a whole new life with that. You can create a new age with that. And because we all have passion right now, and we all have purpose right now, we just need to refine it a little bit. We can all be creating that. The cards that came with that birthing a new age were the Seven of Swords and the Four of Wands. Your sevens have to do, to me at least, with, pardon me, that shifting point. You left the sixes, you've left your taking stock of wherever you are, and you're moving on to what do I need to let go of and what do I need to bring in. And usually, I don't know if you guys can see that from here or not, it doesn't even matter. It shows a man walking away from like a carnival site or a tent site. He has 5 swords in his bag and 2 are left stuck standing up in the ground. He stuck them bitches in the ground. He said, I'm done with this issue. I'm finished with it. I'm taking the ones that I have with me. I know that this is what's going to help me. I'm cutting away what's not needed. And I'm bringing this discerning attitude into the future with me. And I really like that card. The Suit of Swords can be kind of like intense at times. And this has a smiling figure. And it's paired with the Four of Wands, which is super awesome. 4s are your foundation number. I always explain it to people as like, ace is potential, right? Ace is all of your ideas. And, Simba, what are you doing? And 2 is like the masculine and feminine of that Holy Spirit potential. So 3 is the union of those things. 4 is that union being materialized. You have a 4 of Wands here. That is that masculine, healthy masculine, fiery suit, passion, creativity, sexuality, being materialized. You can use sacred masculine in your creation. It has a place. Healthy masculine energy has a place. It needs to be balanced out and fed and nurtured by the intuition and flexibility of the feminine. So in the shadow of the retrograde and the end of the retrograde time, think about that birthing a new age. Think about what you want to be birthing for yourself, to be bringing into your life. And think about how you can cut away what's not necessary. And this includes behaviors. This includes like practices that aren't working for you. The final pull was your support cards for like the overall period. That was Soul Family and Temperance, which I really like. So Soul Family says, call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. And it depicts, they kind of look like sisters sitting on a shore, and there are dolphins behind them. Dolphins are ridiculous. Oh, there's dolphins and whales actually in this. Dolphins and whales are both ridiculously intelligent creatures. Dolphins, like, I just love them. They're awesome. But I'm not going to go on a tangent on that. But call in your tribe, call in your guides, text me, I don't care. Call somebody, text your best friend, call your mom. But do it. There's no reason to go through things alone. None. And I know that our society places an emphasis on individual strength and being able to bear things, but true strength is being able to reach out and bear something together. I spent a lot of my life not thinking that. And it did, I don't want to say it did more bad than good, more harm than good, because it didn't. But I had to do a lot more work and more difficult work to come back from it. And I would rather you all not learn the hard way if you can avoid it. That was paired with Temperance, which I really like. Temperance normally to me is a card of balance, but it's also a card of balancing what you're bringing in. The depiction has like the pretty classic, I guess, depiction of an angel with 1 foot on rock, like on land, and 1 foot on water, and they have 2 cups and like water's being poured actually from the lower cup up to the higher cup. And there's a rainbow behind them. And I really love this because it means they've got one foot grounded and on kind of the material, and the other foot is in the water, it's in the flow, it's in the spiritual realm. So you're attached to both, you're allowing the flow of both. The water from the lower cup feeding the water from the higher cup, to me, especially at this time, says you're bringing your base needs, fears, desires, ideas into those higher energy centers, those upper chakras, and communicating them to the divine and learning how to communicate them out into the world, right? Because these lower chakras are kind of what's happening with us internally, and these upper chakras are the chakras of expression, these energy points of expression, and how we're bringing these things into the world, how we are receiving them back from the world. So Temperance and Soul Family were the cards for that support. I did want to make a note that the High Priestess and the Ace of Swords are at the bottom of the deck from the Witch's Tarot. So there is huge potential here in cutting through things. If you can compartmentalize a little bit, step back and look at yourself with a discerning eye, like literally like from a bird's eye view, you can cut away a lot. It is up to you, the depth that you choose to dive in, and please don't overdo it for yourself. There's always another retrograde. You do not have to be like super gung-ho every time something is going on. The solstice is my favorite holiday, and I like did not do much for it at all, and I was feeling really bad for a minute. Until a friend said like key advice, which I don't remember exactly right now. But basically, like, it's cramming during finals. Like, it's okay to not do extra stuff during that. The High Priestess also came out. So, again, getting in touch with that feminine aspect, getting in touch with the divine, with the goddess, with the sacred feminine within yourself, whether you're a man, a woman, someone in between, expressing everything, nothing, however you want to do that, you can get in touch with feminine energy just to invite some of that flow, some of that intuition in. And that's it. Whew. That was a lot. That was a whole lot. I am going to do a closing prayer really quick, and then we will be done. So I really, really appreciate you all, whoever was here watching, or however long you've been watching, if you've been with me for the whole thing. I deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate you. That's super cool. I would love to know how your experience was with this. I really enjoyed it very much, so I adore this table right now. I don't even want to take it apart. Okay. At this time, Mother Goddess Tiamat, Primordial Freshwater Apsu, and Creator Source, I thank you on behalf of myself and all those who have participated for your generous presence, for your protection, for your communication and your guidance. At this time, I now close this space. The holy work that was done remains. The sacred healing energy offered remains. Those who wish to return to this space may do so at their own time, of their own will. But for now, we're done. It's closed out. Thank you so, so much. By my will, with the peace of the Creator between us all, may this portion be closed and the energy dispersed. let me see if anybody's watching still, so I can like just say thank you and I love you and good night. Oh my god! Oh, let me turn it around so like, woof. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for everybody that watched or that has been here. I really, really appreciate it. That was a lot longer, I think, than I anticipated. But I've had so much fun doing it, and I really, really hope that you liked it. I really hope that it resonated somewhere with you. As always, shoot me a DM if you want a reading. You know, my books are open right now. I'm actually launching a program. I have space for 4 more clients at a discounted price right now for a 6-month program. So there's a lot going on. Oof, my hair is crazy. I'm just sitting here cussing and crazy hair and doing stuff. But anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate you, and I thank you so much for being here, for being a part of this. Please shoot me a message if you have any video requests, if you have deities that you want to work with, if you want to learn more about, you know, different things. We can always get into that. If you want a class or something, I do that kind of thing too. So yeah. All right, I hope you have a great night. I'm not going to do another 10-hour Midwestern goodbye. I love you all. All right, be good to yourselves. Sleep well. Bye.